this is what we're going to talk about, this thing that we make in clinic. Before I start, I have a really quick explanation of what Severs is. So often we use x-rays to have a look at the bone and the growing bone in an adolescent. This is an adult's heel. So if you focus on this part here, you'll see one big bone. Now, in a growing child or adolescent, you'll see that this is the same heel bone, but you'll see a line here. This line, it looks like a fracture, looks like a break, and it's not. Simply all it is a growth plate. So what a growth plate is just new bone. Think of it as really, really new bone, which means it's very low density. Low density bone doesn't absorb x-rays, which is why on an x-ray it looks like a fracture. Because it's low density, it's also very sensitive, and that's what Severs is. It's sensitivity to the growth plate. It's not an injury, it's not a fracture, it's not a tear, nothing's gonna explode. It's just really, really, really sore heel because of the growth plate. Now, how does it get sore? If you can think about it, you can see exactly where that growth plate starts, right at the tip of the heel. So we only see severs in athletes that are really active and athletes that have a lot of impact on their heels. So you think soccer, basketball, football. We're not going to see severs in a swimmer, as an example. In order to get rid of the impact, we've tried lots of things over the years, but this product here literally floats the heel in the shoe and removes almost all impact. And I'm going to explain to you how we do that now. So we take a lot of measurement in our console. So we use this really precise caliper where we can measure small increments, or we can use this to measure all different areas of the foot, mainly around the heel. We also utilize our foot measurement tool as well, which is much more simple. And once we have these measurements and the severity of severs, we actually utilize a few different parts. So we can make all different wedges. So I've got a few examples here of some insoles we'll be making today or this afternoon. So if your child's quite small and has a small foot and we deem necessary, we'll have quite a small wedge. So you can see the height here. Now, if your child has a much larger foot, we tend to make a wedge and grind it down of a few different materials here. And it's a much larger wedge, which much more height. Once we have the wedge height that's going to suit your child, we can then make an insole. So you can see the wedge here, very similar to the one here. But what's most important about the insoles is this space. If you think about the heel, so if my knuckle is the foot or the heel of the foot, you can see that as your foot lies on the insole, the heel is going to float. If this area is too long, the heel will sit in that gap and will experience a lot of impact. If this is too low, same thing will happen. So we've got to make sure that we make this wedge the right height, but also this the right length. And we've got a lot of templates here, and we utilize our measurements in order to fit the right template at the back. What you'll also notice, which is hard to see, is that the insole also has a rocking component to it. So what that means is that as your child's running, it'll almost seesaw the heel. So that impact is transferred away from here into this lump here. So what you get in the end is a very weird looking insole, but it's very, very successful. The heel at the back will be floating and no pressure will be felt in the heel. It will move the pressure to the other part of the foot and distribute the force. What that means is, if we go back to our x-ray, this part of the heel is now floating and there's no impact, which immediately reduces the symptoms of severs.